Yay. Well, once again, excuse my croaky voice, but judging from the comments and the letters that I get, I call them letters, they're messages, aren't they, nowadays? But it seems that not everybody knows what happens, what the form is for what they call the life certificate. Now, I think that the UK calls it a life certificate, not sure what the US calls it. But anyway, I dug out one of my old letters from this and I thought I'd explain to those who need to have some explanation what the life certificate is all about. Now, if you have made the relocation to the Philippines and you are here permanently, no matter what visa you are on, even if you're on the tourist visa, it still doesn't matter. If you have put the Philippines down as your address, your permanent address, or the address to which you want your mail to be sent, they will send a letter like this. Now obviously I've taken out the personal information on all of this, but this is the actual letter that you will get. What's the purpose of this letter? Purpose of this letter is to make sure that the money that they are sending to you is still being used by you in your mortal form. Okay, so what they want to know, as per the life certificate, they want to know that you're still alive and that it's still you that is receiving the money. So how do they do that? They send you a specific envelope, a specific letter, and they send this once a year. Now, it's really important that you're on top of this. I can tell you from experience where, due to not receiving this letter, I haven't received the letter, so I don't know that they're asking me to fill out the life certificate, which I'll try to show you more of in a moment. So, what do when they don't get the response back? They stop your pension. Okay? Now, they don't take away your pension, they just stop it. And they stop it because, I'm assuming that because they know that the fastest way to get you to get in touch is by stopping your money. And of course, they're right. Now, the reason that this is important, if, as one of our subscribers wrote to me very recently and said that he's going to relocate to the Philippines, and he's evidently going to do it permanently. So this is going to be, in some form or another, it's going to be his permanent address. Now, it's important that he knows, because he was telling me that he was going to be on a fairly modest pension. And if it is that you are here and you're not flush for money, then the last thing that you want them to do is to stop that pension. What happens when they stop the pension? Well, first and foremost, you stop getting any money. And if you are dependent on that on a monthly basis, in other words, if you need that money, you don't want them to stop that payment. So what happens? They stop the money until you get in touch. Now, when are you going to get in touch? Let's suppose that you get your payment on the 1st of the month. When you go down there and you go, if you're going to receive it through, say it's through a UK bank, say that your payment goes into a UK bank, and then you use an ATM card in order to draw it. Now I'll go into the different ways that this can happen in a moment, but it can be either into a bank in the UK, if that's your pension, a bank in the UK, and use an ATM card, or you can have it sent direct to a Philippine bank, which has a lot of benefits to it, which I'll also explain in a moment. So you don't get the letter, which can happen because the mailing service is not as reliable here. And the reason, so that's the reason that they actually give you 6 weeks from the time that you receive this letter. Well, that can work quite well. It may take 6 weeks in order to get the letter to the UK or to the US or wherever. So you've got to act pretty smartly. Well, what happens if you don't get the letter? As I say, the first thing they do, when they don't get that letter back in 6 weeks, they stop your pension. Now, that means if you are dependent on that monthly payment, it's very difficult. I can tell you from experience, very, very difficult. I don't want to get off the track of explaining what this is all about, but I've had it stopped twice because I haven't received the letter. Now, the first time I actually didn't know about the letter, which is why I thought that this was worthwhile to do a video on it, because I haven't seen it done by anybody else. So they send you a letter. It comes once a year. You must receive it promptly, right, which we'll also go into. Or if unbeknownst to you, the letter is sitting in the post office for 2 weeks, that means you've only got a month to get it there. And so then you're either down to taking a chance, or you're down to using one of these express services, which will guarantee it and which will cost you a fair amount of money. If, as we are saying, you're a little bit hard up anyway, or dependent on this payment being on time. So it's important that you get it. Now, so what does it contain? Let's deal with that. This is, see here, this is what the letter opens out to. So it's a usual tax form from both the UK and the US, from what I remember, is that it has information on, as we're looking there, what it says. Oh, I see, it's reading back to front, so I'll read it. It says facts about your Social Security benefits statement and what you need to do. Tells you what you need to do. Explanation of items, tells you how to fill out the form. But basically what it comes down to is, let's say for example that nothing about you has changed. You're still living at the same address, you are still alive because you're filling out the form, your marital status is still the same, either you're married or you are not, and it asks all of these questions to which you will reply. It asks you, as I remember, what it does is it asks you, is there any change in your marital status? Is there any change in the do you have any more children than you had? If so, now, if you answer the wrong question, if you answer the wrong to the question, you answer it wrong. In other words, if it says any change to your marital status and you say yes, now you've got to go on to the other page and fill out another form, which is self-explanatory. It's not written in Chinese. You can easily understand it. Here's part of the other form. This is saying, this is a form SSA 1099, and it wants to know, let me see, part of your Social Security benefits shown in box 5 may be taxable income. So see the reverse for more information. So this is what they're finding out. if you put in your answers, have you had a job since you did this or that, then they want to know about that, and you may be liable for tax. So that's why they want to know everything. And of course, you must tell the truth, because if you don't, you can be in trouble. And that's always the best policy when dealing with the government. So there's various things. It says box number has your name. It says box 3 has benefits paid, and it tells you what your benefits have been paid in this case in 2023. It says box 4, benefits repaid to the Social Security, and if you've had to pay anything back, it lists that. So it gives you this is a statement of everything that's happened. Right, now, what's so special about this envelope? This envelope is a special envelope because it has inside it the envelope which you must use in order to return your form. So it tells you how to take it off. It says here, look, fold and tear off the stub. So it tells you, and the same on the other side. I don't know how it ended up not being torn that way. I must have slit it along the top. But anyway, it's best to do it the way that they say it should be done, because then you know that you're not cutting up the form inside, which is important. So then, once you've opened here, it has you a little explanation, which I showed you there, of what to do. So how to fill out the form, and it's self-explanatory. Once you've read it, it's quite clear. Okay. Now, you don't have to be an accountant to be able to do this. Of course, if you've come over here and you suddenly found a job and you're earning 50,000 a year, you might have to register that. Me, because of my ancient age, I don't have that problem. Right. So, what else? It has a special envelope that's smaller than this envelope, that size, so it reaches you intact. You must send your declaration, your life certificate, back in that envelope. Okay, it's not postage paid, so you have to go to the post office and you have to fill out the necessary form, whatever it is, in order to send that straight away. And in the case of the Philippines, sometimes you have to hope that they're not going to put it on the side or on a shelf and not send it for a couple of weeks. The best way to do this is to make friends with the people in the post office. You'll find that it's a very tiny post office. It's something that looks like this room. Look at this room. All right, so that's really what we're looking at. We're not looking at something like I would see in the UK, where you walk in and the post office is as big as a bank and it has numerous tellers to help you. No, there'll be one man who knows what he's doing if you don't go in his lunch break, and maybe a couple of young women who are doing TikTok dances or something like that. Other important stuff that has to be done. So what I always do is I take a photo shot of the envelope made out with the stamp ready to go, take a picture of that with my phone, and then I send an email to Social Securities. I send them an email with a picture of the fact that I've already sent my life certificate off, and hey, if it doesn't get there, please cut me a break. And so far that has worked, and we haven't had any stoppages, and we've just sent this one off. This one is 2023. and we've just sent this one off, so we're fine on this. So the other insurance on this is to make sure that you are aware how long you've been here and look for the letter. Go in before you, when you've been here 6 months or 9 months, go in and talk to the staff and tell them, I have a very important letter. They know about these letters. They know about them. So if you make friends, I have a special contact at the post office because the young man that will do this duty for me actually texts me and says, you have a letter here. Or if somebody comes in who he knows is associated with me, maybe my sister-in-law or brother-in-law, he will tell them, can you tell Terence that his letter is here? And I go in straight away. Now, if you haven't got that contact, go in, give the man your phone number, your cell phone number, and don't rely on the fact that he is going to call you. Double check. This is such an important thing because of the hassle if you don't get it and respond. And it's more of a hassle if you are, as I said, if you are dependent like we were on this letter. Now I have a couple of minutes in which I'll tell you what it meant when we didn't get this, because it's like Murphy's Law. It will never come when you're flush or when somebody's just given you a gift of $500 in your bank account. It never comes at those times. It comes when you've just had a big bill and you're strapped. So what do? Well, the first thing that you do is, in the case of ours, the first time it happened just as we were about to leave Cebu. We had a couple of weeks before we were leaving Cebu to come to Bohol to live, and we were without money, on the move, and that was the one from the US. So we still had the lesser of the two pensions, which, believe me, is quite a lot lesser to depend on. So that was all the money that we had, and it wasn't very much. So it was a very difficult time. We arrived really strapped for money, and we had to call. We called the US Embassy in, in Manila. That doesn't sound like such a big deal, does it? But when you make a call here, you're not going to make it on your cell phone, right? At that time, that was the case for us. So that's it. We tried to find a place that had a fixed line. That would be the obvious thing. So that you make the call and you pay them whatever the call costs, with plus a little. But we didn't manage to do that, so we ended up doing it on the cell phone. Now, the cell phone is on load. In the Philippines, maybe you know this already, but just in case you don't, you operate on what's called load. So you go in and you buy, say, 300 pesos of load, and they load that on your phone, and it's like having a prepaid card. It's very important. You also need to register that too, because the companies here have a nasty little habit, or used to. I always register the load that we bought now, so it's never taken. But it can be kind of zipped away. So there you are with 300 or 500 pesos load one day, and then suddenly it's not there anymore. Can you get it back? No. So you pay the money, you show the phone number that you want the load to go on, you pay the money, and then you ask them, if you can't do it yourself, you ask the lady that you buy the load from, can you register that for me? And she'll do it with pleasure. And you pay 2p for doing that. Okay, so what else, what did I have to tell you? That once I spoke to someone relative to this, it was quite easy, except that in making my judgment as to how much load I would need to make a call to Manila from, say, Bohol or from Cebu, I judge it at, say, 200 pesos. Here's the thing, it's coming at a time when you're not flush with money, so you have to very carefully look about, are you going to put 200 or 300 and not need it for that? So it's that old thing that we used to know. You used to make a joke about it in the UK and in the US, where you are put on hold, on hold, on hold, on hold, and then finally somebody comes to the phone and says, yes, oh, okay, yes, I've got it. What's your national insurance number or your social security number? Yes, okay, I've got that. Just hold on a minute. And then while he's away, well, actually you say, no, don't put me on hold. No, click. Your 200 or 300 or 500 pesos is gone, and you've got to go back and get that again. Now, of course, it's going to be fine the next time we do it, isn't it? No, it's not. It'll probably happen again. And the same thing can happen if you have an ATM card that gets messed up in the machinery, or you sit on it and it cracks, or it does something. Then you've got to get a new card, and it's very, very difficult. Now quickly, what's the two ways that you can now use your pension? If you are going to a bank account in the US or in the UK, right, which is being direct debit into your account, what will be happening is you will be using an ATM card. Now this works very, very well, except in my case, and I think it's general for everybody, they will only allow you to withdraw 10,000 pesos at a time. Now 10,000 pesos seems like a lot, but it's actually not. If you have a couple of, if you were going to pay the rent and you were going to pay for the groceries, it wouldn't be enough. So the other point about that is it is convenient and you can go, except the ATM machines here can be very iffy. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they won't pay out a big amount because they've only got 100 peso bills. Sometimes they haven't got any money. Sometimes they just plain don't work. And sometimes they eat your card. Okay, so the ATM has a lot of drawbacks. Now, it costs you to make that withdrawal from the ATM here in the Philippines on your bank in the US or the UK. It costs you 250 pesos. But it also costs you whatever the bank at home costs you as well, which can sometimes be $5 or, I don't know, $5, $6 or $8. Just depends. So you've got to be careful which one you choose. Now, we did this for a long time. We had my card chewed up. We had my card eaten, swallowed by the ATM machine a couple of times. So finally, we got both of my minuscule pensions, and we got them straight to a Philippine bank, BDO. And that's what we did. Now I can go and I can withdraw all of my pension, and I can do it in one go, but several withdrawals, right? So I can withdraw 10,000 at a time, but repeatedly until I've withdrawn the whole thing. It's a big advantage, Plus, if you're going on a BDO machine, it doesn't cost you anything at all, I don't think. But if it does cost you anything, it will be something like 10 or 15 pesos, right? Work it out. 56 pesos to the dollar. So, 10 pesos, 15, it's not a problem. So that's the ins and outs. If you have any questions, please be free to ask me. I'd be very happy to spend time with you. If you found this interesting, please like, comment, share, give me your questions. I'd be very happy to do it. And I've given this kind of information out many times before. People either forget, or they don't have the whole thing, or they're looking at different options. Try me. Bye for now.